I don't know anything against trans people, but I feel like they should disclose whether they're trans or not when, like, they get close to someone. Obviously not, like, when they meet anyone or everyone or anytime they meet them, but just, like, if they start to get close to people or start hanging out with someone, like, a decent amount, like, it should be disclosed up front whether they're trans or not. And I haven't really had, like, a brother fall for someone who's trans or anything like that. I haven't found to that, just I'm not throwing that out there because I have or anything, because I haven't. But I'm just throwing it out there because, like, I always appreciate when like, people basically come out publicly for the other person that doesn't, like, publicly disclose that they're trans. And someone else will, like, come out with the information on like a forum or a Discord server or wherever, and so they, like, spread the information that they're trans so that other people get to see it, and they're like, oh shit, wait, hold on a second, like, I always think back, I play a lot of League, so, like, I always think back to, like, 2015, and I have nothing against trans people, like I said, but it's just like they should disclose it. And I always think back to 2015, there was a team in League called Renegades who had this one girl who ended up passing away later on, like years after. But the team came out, or was like a new team around 2015, and they played for like a year or two. And they had the support player called Remilia, who was a trans person. And I remember I never, like, watched their games. I wasn't really a fan of the team. But I remember just, like, hearing or seeing, like, a graphic or some shit, or the word around it or the storyline around it was like, oh, it's the first girl LCS pro player. And that, like, at first I didn't know anything, right? I just knew that they, like, played in the amateur league and they were, like, an up and coming player, but they were mainly just did well on, like, Thresh. I remember they didn't really, like, they weren't outstanding on other champs, anything like special or anything. They were just, like, they would usually do well on Thresh, and that was it. But the main, like, header storyline or whatever was, like, first girl pro player, and that, like, when, like, you first, like, find out or, like, look into it, and then you see on, like, Reddit or whatever, you see a bunch of comments and a bunch of downvotes, and they're all basically saying, like, or pointing towards it not actually being a girl, and then you being like, oh shit, wait, they're trans. And then it's like, it's a completely different thing. Because, I mean, obviously it's like two things. First of all, why do I have to, like, find it obscurely hidden, obscurely downvoted, like, in between the bunch of deleted comments, basically the comments that hadn't been deleted yet, that were about to be deleted, about just saying that she was trans. Not necessarily, like, flaming them, but just, like, being, like, exposing the fact, or not, like, it's not really, I guess, I don't know if it's exposing or not, but it's just, like, saying that they're trans, disclosing that information. And then the second, why do I have to dig in that deep? And then the second part to it is, like, would we consider them to be the actual first girl? Like, why do people consider them to be the actual first girl pro gamer in LCS? pro player in LCS. It's like I didn't really understand, or like I didn't really understand, and it's just like I still think that that should not be counted by anyone as the first girl pro player of LCS, because I mean, obviously, like biologically they weren't a girl, and I just think like if you look at it in the shoes of another girl, like I don't think girls would want to look to like who was the first, the first female to represent them, and then it turns out that the first female to represent them wasn't even actually a female. Like I feel like, and I'm not trying to hurt anyone or anything. I'm just putting it out there. Like I'm just saying it how it is. It's like I feel like they would want to be represented by like an actual like someone who's biologically a woman, because I think trans women and women are not like the same thing, like that's why we put trans in front of one of those and why we don't put trans in front of the other, because they're not the same thing. So like a biological woman, and obviously when people say woman, they generally just mean like biologically a woman. They don't mean like, oh, a woman including trans women. Like, no, they just like, if you're advertising something that's like, oh, the first woman to do this or that, like the implication there is that they were biologically female, So I think just like if we accept that there is a difference between a trans woman and a woman, and that they are not the same thing, because woman implies biologically a woman, then, because I feel there's two things. There's like the general woman, which you could be like, oh, trans women fit into that category of woman. But then when you are talking just in general, making these like, oh, first woman, this and that, I feel like you're talking about the woman, the biological woman inside the category of woman. So like the first woman, like the first girl, female pro player should not be a trans one. That's what I'm saying. Like the implication there is that they're biologically female. So if we recognize that there's a difference between the two, then, and that they're not the same thing, I don't think that the person to represent the first woman in anything should be someone that's trans. And yeah. So I don't know. I kind of repeated myself there, I know, but I was just like, I just kept thinking about it. Like, I was thinking about that one situation, and then I was thinking about something else. I forgot. I was thinking about like in high elo in league, like basically the higher rank you go, the less people there are, obviously, but like there are barely any girls that are actually like highly ranked, just because the population is mainly like, it's mainly guys, it's mainly male dominant, but also like guys usually, like obviously there's a lot more guys, but like just on average, or maybe not on average, but like, see, this is already complicated. Maybe it's not on average, but like it's just rare to see like good girl players, and I'm not like trashing them or anything, because it's always like, I think everyone always really likes to see like when a girl like is able to perform really well, like when a girl is able to play at a really high level, like that's a plus immediately, right? That's like that's like a couple points there, like a plus, where it's just like you look at it and you're like, oh shit, wait, this girl's kind of fire, they're like pretty good at this and that, they're high ranked. But yeah, I was just thinking like it's so rare to find them, and then the ones that you do find, like literally half of them in league are trans. Like literally half of the girls, quote unquote girls, that are high ranked are trans. And by high ranked I mean like at least Diamond 2 and above. Like literally half of them are trans. And so like, I don't know. That's the first part.